Hello students, a very good afternoon to all and welcome back to daily newspaper analysis of 14th of May. So today we shall be discussing 5 important topics from The Hindu and finally we will be discussing a practice question. Now let me change the color. Is it visible? Okay. So here, first article is related to government doubles duty on imports of gold and silver. So as you already know that amid the West Asia crisis, a huge pressure is on Indian economy. And as you know, recently the Prime Minister of India has appealed also to reduce the dependency on imports. And as a result, government has taken an important step and government has increased the import duty on gold and silver so that people will buy less amount of gold and silver. Next article is related to Kalakadal surges. So this article is very important from geography point of view. So we shall be discussing what are these surges, what are their causes, and what will be the remedial measures. Next article is related to CBI director. So here the existing tenure of CBI director has increased. So we shall be discussing that what is according to rules that what should be the tenure of CBI director and whether if we are increasing the tenure of the same director of the existing director, so what are the pros and cons of that, etc. Next thing about the NEET controversy. So I think yesterday only sir discussed about the NEET controversy. Now we shall be discussing some of the remedial measures that amid the NEET controversy, after this NEET controversy of 2024, Radhakrishnan committee was set up and the solutions were suggested. So we shall be discussing about those solutions. Next very important article is related to a lifestyle disease and that is PCOS. So recently the name of PCOS was changed. So we shall be discussing the reasons and about basics about this PCOS disease. So let's start our discussion. So here government has doubled the import duty on gold and silver. Now see, let's discuss everything. See, as you know that amid the West Asia crisis, is it visible? Okay. Okay. See, what is happening because of the West Asia crisis. See, because of this crisis, the cost of crude oil is increasing, right? And this crude oil is an essential commodity for all the countries. So even if the price is increasing, the countries are importing crude oil. Now, to import this crude oil, you will be needing the forex reserves. So if crude oil is costly and you are spending more and more forex reserves in importing these crude oil, then it will put a lot of pressure on developing as well as underdeveloped countries. So developing countries like India or China, it will put a lot of pressure on all these countries. So, as a remedial solution, the Prime Minister of India has appealed to the citizens of the country that you must reduce the dependency on imports. So, I think few days back we discussed each and everything. And the Prime Minister was asking to reduce the consumption of fossil fuel and to do work from home, reduce the consumption of gold and silver, all these things. Now, this was not just an appeal, means this was not just a recommendation. Important thing here is that government has the complete power also to implement all these things. So it's not like government has just said that no, it depends on you, you can reduce the consumption or you may not, but here government has the complete power to do all these things. As a result, government has increased the effective import tax on gold and silver. And what is the reason? If the tax will be increased, then the product of gold or silver will become costly, and hence people will import less of these products, and hence our forex reserves will be saved for the future. See, here what is the concern of the government? Main concern is the increasing current account deficit. See, here if we talk about our balance of payment account, then mainly we discuss about two accounts. First is the current account and second type of account is the capital account. So from the current word only, you might understand that current accounts includes the recurring transactions, or the transactions which are happening on the what you can say, on the periodical basis. For example, the transaction of crude oil, or the export of services, or the export of any other commodity. So this is the part of current account. Now, mostly each and every country will be having deficit of capital account. Capital account, because large amount of borrowing, or large amount of investments are involved. So it is very logical that no, every developing country, or for that matter developed country also, they will be having capital account deficit, because because they involve large amount of money, they involve large amount of investment. But if any country is having huge amount of current account of deficit, then this is not a very good thing. Because if you are having current account deficit, that means your country will be very prone to the any type of crisis. For example, recent West Asia crisis. So if we are having huge amount of current account deficit, then India will be very vulnerable, will be vulnerable to all these crises, because the what you can say, the strength of rupee, or the strength of economy will become very volatile. So here the main concern of the government is the increasing current account deficit. So see, in current account, services are also included, goods are also included. So in goods you will include the gold also, you will include the crude oil and other kind of resources. So that's why increasing current account deficit is huge concern for India, because if this deficit is increasing, then situation will become very, very volatile for India. Now, let's discuss what amount of duty has been increased. See, if we discuss the earlier structure, how import duty was imposed on gold. Yes, so if we discuss the earlier structure, how duty was imposed. So, for example, your gold is of 100 rupees. Then on this gold, 5% 5% basic custom duty was imposed, and after that 1% cess was added for the agricultural development, and on this complete 106 rupee, 3% duty, 3% GST was imposed. So overall this effective tax came to around 9.2%. Now, according to the new structure, basic custom duty, which was earlier 5%, now it became 10%. Agriculture development cess, which was earlier 1%, now it became 5%. And overall, on this complete 115 rupee, on this complete 3%, GST is now imposed. So earlier, the tax, which was 9.2% around, now the effective import tax came to around 18.4%. So this is the complete issue, that the tax has doubled. So what is the logic of government? That if we double the tax, then people will buy less and less gold, and if the purchase of gold is reduced, then we can save a lot of forex for the future times. Now, see, government has taken this decision, but there is a lot of criticism from the various industry bodies. What is the reason for that? See, if we were talking about any other commodity, we would have considered that maybe this decision was logical. But here we are talking about commodity, which is gold. Now, gold, especially in India, does not follow the income elasticity of demand. That means if we were talking about of any other commodity, so if prices are increased, then demand will automatically reduce, because people will not buy the costly commodity. But if we are talking about the gold, even if you increase the price of gold, then also people will buy it. Why? Because gold has the cultural traditional significance in India, and especially people buy gold for the household savings, for the weddings, etc. So even if you increase the cost of gold, then also people will buy gold. That means this thing will not be applicable here. That even if you are increasing the import duty, then also people will buy gold, demand will not reduce. So in this way, you cannot save the forex which you are trying to do. Second important thing is, see, consider this situation. For example, earlier the import duty on gold was 9.2%. So we can consider that this import duty was very less. So if we are considering about the situation of black marketing. So people will black market anything only if it is in a lot of demand and it is very costly. If the taxes are very less, then people will think, then why to take risk to buy the product from the black market or to smuggle it. If the taxes are very less, let's buy it from the legal route only. But now, since government has increased the duty, government has increased the taxes, it will encourage practices like smuggling as well as black marketing activity. Because the thing is, even if you are increasing the price of gold, then also demand is not decreasing. If demand is not reducing, people will try to smuggle gold, and people will try to purchase gold through the black marketing activities. Next important concern here is about the other negative impacts of this thing, that is the gold jewelry sector employment. Because jewelry sector in India employs lakhs of workers, and your sudden decision can lead to can lead to lakhs of workers unemployed. Next thing is on the legal gold trade. That's we discussed already this thing about the black marketing activity, that if you are increasing the tax on gold, then overall this legal gold trade will reduce, but illegal gold trade will increase. So it will be having huge impact on all these things. Okay, so I think we discussed all the important things here. Okay. Okay, so here next important article is related to Kalakadal surges. So here the news is INCOIS has expanded the coastal flood monitoring to tackle the Kalakadal surges. So first of all, let's understand this basic concept of Kalakadal surges, because UPSC can ask the direct question that the term Kalakadal was recently in news. It is related to what? So let's understand everything. See, okay, we will start from here. Okay, so see what happens. Sometimes here we are talking about the seawater. So see, sometimes what happens, seawater will suddenly enter the coast. Here, for example, this is a coastal area and this is a, just a second. This is, okay, so is it visible? Okay, okay. Okay, so here we are talking about the Kalakadal surges. So please consider this. See, sometimes what happens, seawater suddenly enters the coastal villages even when there is no cyclone nearby. So for example, this is the coast and this is the residential area. Sometimes what happens, seawater will suddenly enter this residential area. And this thing will happen when there is no other cyclonic activity nearby. So this condition in Kerala we call as Kalakkadal. These type of storm surges in Kerala are known as Kalakkadal. So basically Kalakkadal means sea that suddenly rises without any warning, sea that suddenly rises. This kind of storm we call as Kalakkadal. Now why this storm happens? So see, suppose a big storm is happening very far away from the ocean. So that big storm is happening very far away. Now what will happen? This storm will create very large amount of waves, and these waves will travel thousands of kilometers, and finally these waves will reach the Indian coast, and hence water will enter the coastal area, and these waves are only called Kalakkadal surges. But important point to note here is that even in this situation local weather will look very normal. See, if the weather is abnormal, you can only predict that no, some climatic condition or some weather phenomena may happen. But when we are talking about Kalakkadal surges, local weather will look very, very normal. And that's why people get surprised that how this thing could happen. So this was the basic concept of color kadal searches. Now, what is the role of inquiries here? Because basically the article is talking about inquiries. Inquiries, that means Indian National Center for Ocean Warning Services, that is inquiries. So basically this article is about the monitoring system of inquiries. So what will be the role of inquiries here? See, inquiries basically acts as ocean weather warning system. So the complete warning system about the ocean weather is dealt by inquiries. So that's why inquiries is very important here. So how it does all these things? Basically, it will try to study the ocean waves. And how it will study? It will study the waves through satellite monitoring, or it will study through the sensors. It will get the data through the sensors. So in this way, it can easily give the warning related to dangerous waves. So you can understand in this way. For example, this is a very small pond and you just put a stone in this pond. So when the time when you put this stone, it will create small ripples, and finally these ripples will reach at the end of this pond. So this is the basic concept of the Kalakadal searches. Okay, so let's discuss about the news and gist. So here, this inquiries has expanded the coastal flood monitoring system because of the climate change. These events of Kalakadal surges are increasing a lot. That's why inquiries has expanded its services. Second thing is how it will do all these things. It will provide the early warning, forecasting accuracy, as well as disaster preparedness. See, now next the article discusses that if inquiries is providing the early warning, then how early warning will help the authorities. So see, early warning, that means before the disaster can happen, you are easily trying to provide the information to the communities, and hence it will help to evacuate the vulnerable populations. It will alert the fishermen, as well as it will help to reduce the damage to the coastal property. That's why all these things are important. And why we are taking all these steps? Because of the increasing frequency, because of the increasing climate change frequencies. All these things are increasing. Sea level rise and increasing, extreme weather events are increasing. That's why various authorities in India are trying to take all these kind of steps so as to reduce the loss of life and property. Now, okay, here next article is related to the extension of tenure of the existing CBI director. So here we shall be discussing the basics of CBI director. We shall be discussing what are the pros and cons of extending the tenure of the existing CBI director. Okay, so let's understand first the complete background. See, so recently government has decided to extend the tenure of the existing CBI director, that is Praveen Sood, by more 1 year. So here, earlier, the tenure of the CBI director was 2 years. Now, again, his tenure has been extended to 1 year. Now, normally, the director of CBI gets a fixed tenure. So that, and what is the reason for that? So that political pressure is reduced and officers can work independently. That's why they have the fixed tenure. That in those 2 years, you cannot do anything. Means the political parties cannot do anything. However, there are various situations where the government can give the extensions also. And in under this only, the government has provided this extension to existing CBI director. But important thing is, this is the second extension of CBI director. This is very important. Now after a few days, this thing has become controversial. What is the reason for being controversial? See, as you know that CBI is the most powerful investigation agency in India. And what are the cases which it takes? So basically it investigates the corruption cases, various kind of scams, economic offenses, etc. And the recent NEET scam is also being referred to the CBI only. So that's why, see, CBI is the most powerful investigation agency in India. So basically, this is very natural that whoever is having the complete power on CBI, that particular party or that particular person will be having the political advantage. Now, that is why the appointment and extension of the CBI director becomes very politically sensitive. See, whenever we talk about the appointment of CBI director, selection of CBI director, this is not done completely by the government of India. It is done through a selection committee, cabinet committee on selection, cabinet committee on appointment. So this committee has 3 members. So first is the Prime Minister, which is also the chairperson. Second is the leader of opposition, and third will be the Chief Justice of India or any nominee which is appointed by the Chief Justice of India. So idea is very simple. Idea is that government plus opposition plus judiciary, these all three parties will together decide that who should be here, who should be the director and who should be not. But during the recent meeting of this cabinet committee on appointment, the leader of opposition, that is Rahul Gandhi, he opposed this extension because he said that government is extending the tenure and government is misusing CBI for the political gain. He also said that in order to select a suitable candidate for the CBI director, various kind of analysis are required. For example, self-appraisal reports are required, 360-degree evaluation reports are required. But according to leader of opposition, according to Rahul Gandhi, he was not given full information and he was not able to freely evaluate that who should be the perfect candidate. So that's why this extension of tenure was criticized by the opposition parties. Now, so I think we discussed all these things, that his tenure was extended by 1 year, and this tenure was extended by the Appointments Committee on Cabinet. Important thing is that who is the chairperson of this appointment committee? So chairperson is the Prime Minister of India. And who are the other two members? So they are leader of opposition as well as Chief Justice of India. So for prelims, this is very important. Now, next important thing is, let's discuss about the pros and cons of all these things, because since this was the second extension of tenure, so there might be some of the pros. That's why government is extending it. So see, what is the government side for this, that why we are extending the tenure of the existing CBI director? Important reason is that this will ensure the continuity of important investigations. So here government is saying that since already important investigations are going on, so if we are changing CBI director continuously, then it may hamper the important investigations. So if the same officer continues, the investigation will remain stable. This is the take of government. Second important thing is, if we are extending the tenure of the same CBI director, then he will be having a lot of experience in dealing with very important issues. So here experience is also important thing. So here first, what government is saying? Government is saying we are extending because of the important matters. And second reason what government is giving, second reason is about the experience, that the experience of person matters in handling the important cases. But why opposition is criticizing? Because opposition is saying that this extension is the threat to that institution itself. No, we are not talking about a particular person. We are talking about the CBI as well as an institution, not as a person. So opposition is saying that this will be a threat to institutional dependence, because because various critics fear that this extension will make the officers dependent on the government. That means they will not take any stand against the government, because if they have that thing in mind, that even after 2 years, even if they have this confirmation that after 2 years my tenure will be extended, so every time there will be hope there will be hope of goodwill from the government. So that means the officers will not take any stance against the government. Okay, so this is the important thing, that it is a threat to independency. So these are the various reasons why opposition is criticizing it. Now, I think that this thing we already discussed, that CBI director has fixed tenure. So what was the reason why fixed tenure was set, that no, only 2 years or there must be fixed tenure? So fixed tenure was set up so as to protect the independency of the office. That means even if political party or any member have any kind of grudges, personal grudges with any member of CBI or CBI director, then also in that period of 2 years, you cannot harm or you cannot ask anything with to that CBI director. But this thing is backfiring also, because even after fixed tenure of 2 years, government is repeatedly extending it. So it is a threat to independency or transparency of that office. Now, Yes. So next article is related to NEET controversy. So see, the complete thing about the NEET controversy was already discussed. Now today we shall be discussing the important recommendations of Radhakrishnan committee. That no, though these things are happening repeatedly, but government is not taking any concrete stand. So what all things needs to be done to deal with all these kind of issues. So let's understand everything first. See, if we talk about NEET exam, so as you know that NEET is India's biggest medical entrance exam, right? And every year around 25 lakh students write this exam. And what is the purpose? To get admission in the medical colleges. But for many years, this NEET exam has been repeatedly in the controversy. What kind of controversy? For example, there are many cases of paper leaks, right? There are many cases of cheating. So all these things are happening, and repeatedly these things are happening, like paper leaks, cheating, some kind of impersonation or unfair evaluation. All these things are happening. Now, see, this controversy of 2026 is not the only controversy. The previous controversy already happened 2 years back in 2024. So after the controversy of 2024, an important committee was set up, that is K. Radhakrishnan committee. And why it was set up? To study the problems as well as to suggest the reforms. Now, what were the major findings of the committee? The committee said that biggest weaknesses were in the transportation. The committee said the biggest weakness in the education system or the education or the exam pattern in India is first about the transportation and second about the storing of papers. So what Radhakrishnan committee has said, that biggest problems lies in the transportation as well as storing of question papers, and biggest problem is the excessive human handling. So the committee is saying if more and more humans are involved, then there are greater chances of paper leaks. So because of that, committee has provided various kind of suggestions. What are suggestions of this committee? First important suggestion is that you must increase the use of computers. That means you must increase the computer based exams. Second important thing is that you must conduct the exam in phases. No, so not a single day or not a single shift. You must conduct the exam in phases so that this possibility of cheating or possibility of impersonation can reduce. Third thing, it said that you must increase the use of CCTV surveillance so that you can check each and everything what is happening within the exam hall. The next thing, it said that you must secure the testing centers. So testing centers must be very secure. That means tight security must be there outside the testing centers. And you must reduce the dependency on the temporary outsourced workers for conducting the exam. So all these were the suggestions which are given by the Radhakrishnan committee. But here, serious thing is that though these recommendations were given in 2024, but even after that, these recommendations are not fully implemented. And this is the result that in 2026 also, this NEET controversy happened. And see, this NEET controversy happened, and what was the reason for that? The reason for that was the leaked gas papers. So the actual exam paper questions were matching with those gas paper questions. And this created huge anger among the students. Why? Because lakhs of students are putting lots of years for this preparation. So see, these were the yes, so these were the major weak points which are found out by the committee. What were those points? Transport and storage of question papers, human handling, as well as local logistical vulnerability. So these were the major findings, and these were the major solutions which were recommended by the committee. Now, let's discuss briefly that why these repeated failures are very dangerous. See, first important point is it will yes. Okay. So here first important point is it will lead to loss of public trust in India. See, Because of all these controversies, because of repeated failures of NEET, various students are leaving this medical field. Various students, so it's not like students don't want to pursue medicine. The important reason is students don't have any future. Students don't even consider it that no, this thing might have any future. So repeatedly, students are changing their field. So it is leading to loss of public trust in this medical system of India, in NTA agency, in examination conducting agency. Second important thing is it is putting a lot of mental stress on the students. See, it is very easy for the officials of NTA to say that no, we are not cancelling the exam, or we will not be taking any examination fee again, and we will conduct the exam in a transparent manner. It is very easy for them to say on one day, but they don't have any idea about the amount of mental stress the students are having, because it is very easy for them to say after to very easy for them to say all these things sitting in a room of AC, but they don't even realize that what amount of pressure the students in India are the students in India are facing. Many female students, they get just the deadline of 2 months or 3 months from their home, that just give the paper and come back, and if you are not able to succeed, then please consider the option of marriage. Various male students in India, they have the complete responsibility of their family. So if they are not able to pass the exam in 2 years or 3 years, they have to consider any other option. So not everyone have that leverage, or not everyone is of from that very good financial background, that even if after the repeated failures of NEET, they can consider any other option. So that's why it will lead to a lot of mental stress on the students. Next thing is here, cheating advantages rich networks, because see, many students might have studied properly, and many students might be getting very good marks, because of which they can easily get the seat in any government medical exam. But because of cheating, the what you can say, the because of teaching, the cutoff increases a lot. So that's why because of this, other studious students are at disadvantage. And next thing is about the governance failure, because since we discussed that already this type of controversy happened in 2024, so government must have ensured that this controversy might not happen in future. But still, if all these things are happening, it will encourage these kind of rackets, no one has been put into jail, no investigation has been brought up, so let's do. Maybe this kind of thing may happen in 2027 also, 2028 also. So that's why this highlights a serious governance failure also. So that's why government must implement all the recommendations of K Radhakrishnan committee, so that the future of this country might be saved. This future of all the students in this country might be saved. Yeah. Now, this next article is related to PCOS, which is a lifestyle disease. So recently, PCOS got a new name, and why this change seeks to aid faster diagnosis and treatment. So here, important reason is why name was changed, so that the diagnosis and treatment become easier and become very detailed. So let's understand complete thing first. So here the Endocrine Society has decided to rename PCOS. So earlier it was polycystic ovary syndrome. So here main focus was on the cyst which are in the ovaries. Now it is changed to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, that is PMOS. So earlier it was PCOS, now it is PMOS. So earlier this name was focusing just on the cyst in the ovaries, but now PMOS focuses on the entire metabolic as well as hormonal activities which are happening inside the human body. See, let's understand in detail. See, all the doctors and scientists have decided to change this name of PCOS to PMOS. So here, this term PCOS, that is polycystic ovary syndrome, elderly people think that this disease only involves the cyst in the ovaries. But here, actually, many women who are suffering from PCOS, they may not even have the cyst. But then also we are calling it as polycystic ovary syndrome. So that's why the doctors and scientists have decided to change the name, because the reason is that this condition of PCOS is much bigger than just a problem related to ovaries, because issue here is it affects the hormones also, It affects the metabolic activities of body also. It affects the insulin level in body also. So it is a very broader problem, and it is not just related to ovaries. So it affects the metabolic activities, it affects the insulin levels, also it affects the fertility as well as period cycles in females. So it is a very bigger problem and not just related to ovaries. So here the name which is changed, so here the new name, that is PMOS, it better reflects the real nature of the disease. And what will be the significance of this? This change will improve the diagnosis, because now the diagnosis will be detailed, and diagnosis will not just be focused on the cyst. And this will make people understand that this condition is a full body hormonal as well as metabolic condition, rather than just a simple ovarian disease. Now you can understand this complete thing in this way. For example, some people call diabetes as the sugar urine disease. Sugar urine disease. But if you talk of a bigger picture, so diabetes actually affect the kidneys also, heart also, nerve vessels also, etc. So here similar condition is with PCOS. So earlier, if we were giving name as PCOS, then it was focusing just on the cyst, but it is a bigger problem. So that's why we have changed this name to PMOS. Now quickly, let's discuss some of the points about the PCOS. So here it is a common hormonal problem for women in the childbearing age. So here, what are the symptoms here? So see, basically the symptoms are, we already discussed. So here basically symptoms are the irregular menstrual periods, excess hair growth, infertility, weight gain, etc. These are the some of the symptoms of PCOS. And see, cause is very important for prelims. So cause is, first important cause is the genetic predisposition only. Okay, so here genetic predisposition, which is often marked by a family history of diabetes or obesity. And it's not always the genetic predisposition. If you have a very sedentary lifestyle, then also you can have this lifestyle disease of PCOS. And if we talk about the treatment, so this thing can be prevented through the lifestyle changes only. And sometimes medical treatment, fertility treatments are also available. So I think this was the entire thing about the PCOS. Now a quick practice question for you. To consider the following statements regarding the director of CBI. The first statement is the director of CBI enjoys a minimum fixed tenure of 2 years. Second is CBI derives its power from Delhi Special Police Establishment Act of 1946. And third is the appointment of CBI director is made solely by the Union Home Minister. So please read this question carefully and try to give answer in the comment section. So I think that's all from my side for today. Thank you and have a nice day.